everybody. We're live once again from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. My co-host Julia Vadakin and Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club is here, representative of the St. Fancy, the St. Francis Yacht Club. They don't like it when I call the St. Fancy. Andy Rose, who's standing patiently by down in Newport Beach, is also a member of the St. Francis Yacht Club, and I'm, thanks to Andy and a few others, also a proud member of Balboa Yacht Club, which is the host for the Governor's Cup. This year is the 59th annual Governor's Cup, the oldest and most prestigious youth international match racing championship in the world. Along with Andy, standing by in Auckland, New Zealand, is one of the top youth match racers in the world, Josh Hyde. We're delighted to have both of them, Julia, as guests on today's show. Let's get into the starting line.
Yes.
And at the starting line, we're going to say Happy Tuesday. And it's Wednesday down where Josh is, but Happy Tuesday and Happy International Scotland's Pride Day. Julia? We'll come back to that. Yeah. Bravo Zulu to Kayard and Clean. They won finally. After years and years, 40 years of trying, they've won the Bacardi Cup, or Paul has anyway. Clean's not been trying that long. And we have another Bravo Zulu to Greg Velez. We'll tell you about the road to the 59th GovCup, our first segment. We do this annually. I think it's our 5th year of doing this, where we interview the various
it's a great series.
Top skippers, and it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it, Julia?
Absolutely.
Well, we got a good one on today, Josh Hyde, who he's been to the GovCup, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times. We'll ask him. And Andy Rose, of course, who he doesn't like it when I call him the GovCup guru. he grump, because he's chairman of the steering committee and he's forgotten more about the Governor's Cup than most of us will ever know. Coaching Corner, John Emmett checking in from the UK. How time flies, and you cannot be too fit, he says. Then we'll do a longer segment on the Star Bacardi Cup because apropos our topic today, Julia and all, that turned into a match race. At the end between Robert, in the sixth and final race between Robert Scheit and your buddy Paul Kayard, Julia.
Yes.
And it was a hell of a race.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I will tell you all about that. And then, of course, AC-38, the Kiwis, Josh probably saw the boat. It rolled out of the shed yesterday. Their 2024 AC-75, which has been newly revised for 2027. We have some pictures from Richard Gladwell and more about that new boat. While questions remain about whether the challenger of record, Royal Yacht Squadron's Athena Racing, even has an AC-75 at this late date. The Cup's in 14 months. Mm-hmm. Hard to believe. John Sweeney is also progressing his court case. The Cup is back in contention with the Attorney General of the state of New York. We'll fill you in on the latest. Then we've got in our last leg a fabulous segment, the JJ Giltanin. Did I pronounce that right, Alistair Murray? The JJ is going on. That's the World Championship for the IDeens, for the Aussie 18s going on. Yandu is on top after day 3, and we'll have a full report for you on that. In the meantime, you would all be disappointed,
I know,
Julia.
Oh, yes.
If I didn't have one last rant about daylight savings time, or saving, it's actually no S on it. Set the clock ahead 1 hour and win the war. This goes back to World War I, at least in this country. U.S. coal supply, save 1 million tons of coal by using an extra hour of daylight. Well, you don't get an extra hour of daylight. You just shift it to the evening. I, as you all know, think we should have long since locked the clock. But over the weekend, once again, the times they were a-changing. And just so those of you around the world, we stay on 1300 as our go-live time. We are now 1300 daylight, starting with today's show, 9:16. 1300 Pacific Daylight Time, which for those of you in Europe is 2000 UTC. Right now, that's the time in the UK. And then when they go on daylight time, it gets all mucked up again. 2100 in Western Europe, CET. And down under, it's 0700 plus 1 in Sydney until they go off daylight time. Likewise, where Josh is in Auckland, 0900 plus 1. And Josh, we even had some confusion, and we'll go into that, trying to get you on here at the right time. And thank you very much. You showed up at exactly the right time. And that's my biannual, my twice-a-year rant about the clocks and the time zones and what a confusion it is, because it all changes again, not in 6 months' time, but just in a few weeks, when Europe goes on summertime, the last Sunday in March, and when New Zealand and the southeastern corner of Oz go off daylight time. There's not much of the world, Julia, that even uses it anymore. The red and the blue are the countries that still have some form of change the clock, and you can see it's precious little. The gray either had it, the dark gray formerly had it, and the light gray never had it. Most of the world in gray, and I spelled it the English, the American way, Gray, locks the clock. And then, of course, I got this cartoon from one of our foes, Ted Ryman, saying, I always wondered about the difference between gray and gray. Well, Grey, gray is a color, that way Josh would spell it, but gray is a color.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, thanks, Ted Ryman, for setting us straight. And a few other memes. I've been bombarded with daylight memes because they're all making fun of me and teasing me.
And they know you're serious.
Well, I am serious, but, I probably deserve it. Well, did we do it? Has anyone heard? Did we save the daylight? And then that came from Ed Worley. Then this one came this morning from Bruce Brown, who said there's 3 sizes of coffee. Not tall, grande, and venti, but tall, grande, and the day after daylight saving time starts. Bruce, thank you for that.
Yes.
One of the 2.5 states in this country that are sane is Arizona, which stays on, I don't know if it's standard time or is daylight time year-round, but they don't change. Hawaii does not change, and half of Indiana doesn't change. Then, of course, there was this meme I put on my Facebook page. Brace yourselves, it's daylight savings, which means Eamon will complain incessantly on Sailing Illustrated for a month. That's from Sangmeister, John Sangmeister down in SoCal.
And he's right, of course.
He's sort of right, but I promise, Julia, that's the last word on all this. Even when New Zealand and Australia change, even when I won't say another peep about it this year. Well, at least until the fall.
I know.
Julia, what are we celebrating today?
Well, I don't know. It looks like bagpipes.
It is one of our favorite instruments. It's International Bagpipe Day. That's why I called it the Scottish National Day. That distinctive sound, bagpipes, banjos, and accordions, that distinctive sound that's both stirring and traditional, often heard at celebrations and gatherings, adding a unique musical flavor to the atmosphere. And there's a sailing connection, or I wouldn't have run this.
Of course.
The sound of bagpipes filling the air as day dawns is enough to bring joy to the hearts of many others.
Well,
they may not feel quite the same, Julia. Huh?
Yeah,
they may not feel quite the same. Just like the famous banjo, the definition of a banjo player, of a gentleman is a banjo player.
Who has
a guy who knows how to play the banjo but doesn't. I think you could say that about the bagpipe and the accordion. It seems that one either loves the pipes or not at all. There is not very much middle ground. International Bagpipe Day is the time to find out where you stand and join those who love them. Now, bagpipes are deeply intertwined with sailing, particularly in Scottish maritime traditions, featuring in cruise line welcomes in various cities, as well as port departures. They are used for atmospheric performances on historic vessels and lake cruises, and have historically guided ships to safety through thick fog. They used them as an early foghorn.
Oh.
And I've seen that actually in Cuttyhunk in the Elizabeth Islands, out towards Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket and so on. I've seen that very thing going on with, somebody would bring their bagpipe instead of an air horn. But that's, moreover, do you know this song? Cool song. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Rod Stewart. I Am Sailing. That's I Am Sailing, which is one of, it turns out, I didn't know this, one of the most popular songs to play on the bagpipes. Who would have known?
I didn't know that.
Through howl of wind and showers of rain, we play for the living, the dead, and the slain. Our notes are the wound of an angel's swoon, For our enemies, the sound of their coming doom. Be you married or buried, our pipes sound true. Whenever we're needed, we'll play there for you. And of course, it would not be correct without International Bagpipe Day being celebrated in Edinburgh. Today is International Bagpipe Day. This is from a couple of years ago. Scotland Brave. Okay, that's what we're celebrating today, Julia. And we've got to say Bravo Zulu at the top of the show to a couple folks, because this, the Kayard's achievement, Kayard and Clean notwithstanding, we will celebrate that later in the show. I promised Andy and Josh we'd get them on and off early because they are busy beavers. They got a lot going on. Kayard and Clean, as you probably all know, have won the 99th Bacardi Cup down in Miami over the weekend in what was a fantastic sixth and final race. They had to sail the last race, and Bravo Zulu to them will tell you all about the match race that they had with Robert Hyde. This gentleman in the middle, a couple nights ago, was awarded one of the top prizes that the Cruising Club of America gives out, the Rod Stevens Seamanship Trophy. Greg Velez, who is from my home state of Michigan. I don't know the gentleman, but he is famously well regarded for his seamanship. And during the 101st Bayview Mac, that's the Mackinac race from Detroit up to Mackinac, he and his team on a cruising boat, they were racing, rescued a 72-year-old in dicey conditions, difficult conditions. And the gentleman had gone overboard during the 101st Bayview Mac, and he saved the guy's life. And they had to do the usual up and down and back and forth grid stuff, and apparently it was an amazing rescue at sea. Congratulations, Greg Velez from Detroit, from the southeastern Michigan.
That's hard.
That photo courtesy of John Burnham, not San Diego John Burnham, but of Rhode Island John Burnham.
There's another one.
There's two John Burnhams. Let's get to the GovCup and bring in our friends Andy Rose and Josh Tapper to talk about the GovCup. And let me play a couple slides by way of introduction. Josh Hyde. Who did I say? Josh Tapper?
Yes.
Cole Tapper, because I'm looking at the next slide to come up. Sorry, Josh. And Cole Tapper, who has won the GovCup along with Jeffrey Peterson, and the Callahan boys have been at the top, as well as Justin Callahan, who is one of the three finalists for this year's Rolex Yachtsman of the Year. Of course, held at Balboa Yacht Club every year last week of July. Andy Rose has been instrumental in making that regatta the best youth match racing regatta, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Regatta in the world. And I'm proud to say we've been doing the Road to the 59, or Road to the Governor's Cup, this being the 59th Balboa Yacht Club's Governor's Cup in 2026. And it's a delight to have both Andy and Josh on with us live today. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you
for having us.
Delighted. Andy, tell us a little bit about the history and aging out, and what is the age? And you said in your opening press release, you said that these two guys, for example, have aged out, and you said there is a changing of the guard now that Tapper and Peterson and others have aged out, that for the 59th annual GovCup, the people can already and still can file for a request for invitation. This is an invitational, but you've already accepted two sailors, as I understand it.
Right. The selection committee has that right, and these two sailors obviously, stand out, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But Tom, first I want to say two things about the bagpipes. Our Irish friends would say we invented them and gave it to Scotland, and they took it seriously. And as to Paul Kayard, Paul's been a friend for a long time, and the match race in the last race of the Bacardi Cup, he started his match racing career here at the Governor's Cup.
Indeed.
So we're very proud of him both as a friend and as an alum. The GovCup is 59th. This is the 59th version. We didn't hold it in 2020. I am a little embarrassed to say that I won the third and fourth But it
Not
was
very
started,
embarrassed.
yeah, but it was started after a guy named Chet and Glee Purcell were invited to and watch the Congressional Cup, which at the time was 2 years old, and said, well, we should have something like that for the youth. And so he got then Governor Ronald Reagan to donate a trophy, and the Governor's Cup was begun. So we're 2 years behind the Con Cup, and we have always thanked them as our sort of big brother. But the Governor's Cup has taken on a life of its own. James Spithill, Taylor Canfield, it's just a list of alumni who have become the best sailors in the world. The selection committee, there are 12 invitations issued. A couple of them are automatic. The United States Youth Match Racing Championship for the Rose Cup gets an invitation, and that'll be in this June. Any former winner that is still eligible will get an invitation. But there aren't any this year, and that is a good segue into what Tom was mentioning, and in our press release that, well, Josh and Morgan as semifinalists last year, the first and second place finishers have aged out. And I would say, given what's been going on, and I want to talk to Josh about it in a minute, given what's going on in Australia and New Zealand with the various regattas since then, I can't pick a clear favorite or even two clear favorites. So it's going to be a fascinating year. And that's sort of the background.
What's the age range? It's been changed in the last 5-6 years, but what's the age range now, the limits?
It's under 23 by the last day of the regatta. You still must be 22 years old. I suspect that after next year's 60th anniversary celebrations, we will go, like all the other regattas, to a calendar year. But I think they've granted us a dispensation to keep our last day of the regatta thing. And since there are some sailors that sort of, plan a year or two ahead, I think that's only fair. But at this point, it's, you have to be 22 years old or younger. Our youngest last year did pretty well. Sienna Nichols, who was, I believe, 17 at the time, and
from Balboa Yacht Club.
Yeah, and Dylan C., who was 18 from Newport Harbor Yacht Club, were right in the middle of the fleet and had some really brilliant races. So we look for great things for. I can't imagine that both of them won't be here again. But it'll be quite interesting because Jeffrey Peterson and Cole Tapper have won 4 out of the last 5, and Jeffrey was second in the one that neither of them won. So they sort of dominated it, and now they're too old, which is kind of fun to say.
Well, you said it's a changing of the guard, and certainly at the top of the new gen, as I call them, is Josh Hyde. Mm-hmm. And Morgan Pinckney. Is this going to be Morgan Pinckney, Newport Harbor Yacht Club's top young sailor, one of the very top young sailors? This is going to be like his 5th GovCup, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. He started very young and very capably by winning the Rose Cup and got an invitation. I think this is his 5th, and I think he has 3 thirds and a 6th. So I think he's looking forward to trying to get out of the third rut, basically.
Proud mommy, you see in the chat, Andy, proud mommy Melanie Nichols says that Sienna was only 16 last summer at GovCup.
That's right. She was 15 the first year, 16, so she'll be 17 this year.
Wow.
You got a lot of years left.
Yeah, a lot of years left.
Let's go to Josh, who's live from Auckland. Thanks for joining us again, Josh. How many GovCups have you done? How old are you? How many more do you have to do after this one?
I believe this year is going to be my 4th GovCup. And this will be my last year, as I have just turned 22 this year. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Well, you've had a phenomenal year. Let me put some of these slides up. Tell us that this was a couple of years ago, but in the last 2 years, between the various match racing events, and Andy keeps track of all these as well because he helps, of course, intimately with the invitations. But you've had a phenomenal 2 or 3 years in the youth match racing world and in the match racing world in general.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really good stint over the last couple of years with the amount of events that we have down in our sort of Oceania region. It gives us a good step up on sort of everyone to do a lot more match racing than other people get the opportunity to do.
What events? You've got a couple over in Australia. You've got the one big one in New Zealand. Tell us about those events, please.
Well, why don't,
Yeah,
Tom,
so
let me talk specifically because I have this spreadsheet in front of me of all the regattas that have been held since the last Governor's Cup. So maybe some specific questions.
Please.
So this year we'll just do 4 events here. The first one was a big win in the Helly Hansen in Australia, because that I believe is an under 25 event, Josh.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why Cole Tapper was able to sail in it. And Cole has won 2 Governor's Cups, a World Championship, Youth Worlds, has done really well in the World Match Racing Tour. To beat Cole is quite a thing. You won 3-2. Why don't you talk to us a little about that regatta?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first match racing regatta back driving after taking 6 months off because I've been away in Sweden on exchange for my university. So it started off pretty slowly that week with a few new people in the team. But we sort of really did a good job of building throughout the event, and it led us to finally on the last day sort of melting together enough for us to put on a really good show and give, well, a pretty good run for his money with Cole there.
Yeah, you certainly did. That's very impressive. Then you next went to the Hardy Cup, which is another under 25 regatta. And on that one, you got second to your, I believe Ethan is also a Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron member.
Ethan Fong.
Yeah.
Ethan Fong.
Yeah,
And
Ethan is.
I would venture to, I can't speak for the selection committee because we won't meet until April, but I think he's highly likely to get invited. What was that like? And you know, how is he? He's a relatively new name on the scene.
Yeah, well, I think that event's actually an under 23 event. It's like a proper youth event,
Right.
like sort of the GovCup is. But he's been really building up over, I would say, the last 2-3 years with his same team, and I think that was the first event that I had with my new youth team, as the rest of my team aged out last year. So I've got a whole new team on this year, and we're currently in the build-up for our youth trials and then our youth worlds, hopefully. But that event was our first time sailing together. It was a bit rocky to start with, but we managed to sort of pull ourselves together enough to make it to the final series. And then, fortunately, a couple umpire decisions and a couple wind shifts didn't quite go our way in the final series, and Ethan was put on a really good show and was able to take that off us.
That brings up the subject of, you know, both Jeffrey Peterson and Cole Tapper had pretty much the same crews for about a 4-year period. And both of them have said that that's really, really, really important. And obviously, you know, you feel the same, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there are so many things that there's only so much the skipper can do in a match race, especially in a pretty high performance boat like this. And for example, in the now traditional dial-up, during the starting sequence, one wrong move by the crew, keeping the jib on backwinded or not too long, and suddenly your best laid plans have come awry, as it were. So, so I certainly understand that. I think you could almost predict how teams are going to finish by seeing how long they've sailed with that crew. But I'm glad you have a new crew, and you've now had 3 regattas, I believe, and and so that, you know, that's got to help.
Andy, is it true that any monkey can steer? And if so, who's calling tactics? Since you're a famous old tactician, Andy, that's one of your favorites. And who calls tactics in your boat, Josh? Is it you or your main sheet, or?
Yeah, so we've sort of started trying to implement a bit of a new program around tactician. It's working with a couple different sort of priorities that we find in the race, deciding whether we need to sail a fast track with our own shifts or if we're just trying to shut down legs as we go around the race. But generally we find, I think this season we're going to have a lot of Ollie Lloyd on the bow, calling a lot of our short-term tactics, and then Noel Malpont along with that on main, helping him out quite a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship. but it is, I think, it's self-serving, but I've been a tactician for almost all of my sailing career. And you need the skipper to do a number of things, but first and foremost is make the boat go really fast through the water and focus on that. So to have a little bit of help, I think is a good thing. Okay, so the next regatta was the Warren Jones, again, an under 25 regatta. You didn't make the semis on that. Is that same sort of issue? Those are, that also is a U25. So still getting used to the crew, or what were the conditions?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of the normal team members that we've had for the last couple of years were in the midst of their own real lives and jobs away from sailing. Still them, but so we sort of built up a new team around that, and I think we did a really good job of getting a good feel for the boat with a whole new team, because effectively it was just bringing it back to being like the first time back again. But yeah, it was just a new team, and that level of working together. It's shown how much difference it does make in these sort of events.
What kind of conditions were in that one, in the Warren Jones? That's in Western Australia.
We get sort of in the morning, you might get 5, 10 for the first hour and a half, and then you get the doctor comes in, the big sea breeze, and you get 20 knots religiously every day. But I think we had one day especially where it got really breezy, about 25, and you're in a 36-foot boat, and your legs only about, or maybe 300, 400 meters long. It's pretty short, sharp racing.
I should say the Warren Jones was named after Alan Bond's manager when he won the America's Cup. And Warren was our manager when I sailed on Australia in 1977, just a terrific guy who left us way too soon. But Fremantle is interesting in what Josh just mentioned about the doctor. That's known as the Fremantle doctor. And Fremantle is on the coast. Perth is actually on the Swan River, very close to the coast. But it's named the Fremantle doctor, and boy, it's a steady and pretty. You can pretty much count on it. So it's a little.
And you know why it's called the doctor? This big heavy sea breeze.
Because it cools off what otherwise could be a very hot summer.
It is a hot day, but it brings midday relief. Having lived down there, it brings midday relief from the heat and flies. Right, Josh?
It does, yeah, a big relief.
Okay, so the most recent one, and then we'll get off this subject, but the most recent one was the Toyota New Zealand, and I believe that was a U23 regatta too, Josh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay. And you were a semifinalist, but ended up fourth. James Hayhoe, who I'm not really familiar with, his name showed up from Australia, I believe.
Yeah, Royal Sydney.
Yeah, from Royal Sydney, not CYCA.
No, not the CYCA.
James Hayhoe won, and then Ethan Fong, who we mentioned a little bit ago, and then Daniel Kemp, who was a GovCup veteran, got third. And again, I can't speak for the committee, but both Ethan and Daniel have filed RFIs with us, and I think it would surprise me if they weren't invited. So all you guys are going to get to mix it up again, and that's why I say there's no, absolute. It was pretty obvious that Jeffrey or Cole was going to win, the years that they sailed, but I don't think it's quite as obvious. Although you and Morgan would certainly be be among the favorites without question. And since this is their last year, that would be a good way to wrap up your U23 campaigns.
Yeah, that would be probably the perfect way to wrap it up, I would say.
There you go. I like it. All right.
Talk about GovCup last year, guys, because you were fourth. I've got the standings, actually, from last year, the final results. Cole, of course, won. Justin second. Morgan, who's been invited back, as Andy's mentioned, in this early action, along with Josh, the first two to be publicly invited. And this is also to help others who haven't already filed for an RFI. But Andy, it sounds like you've got something like, what, 3 times the number of slots? How many RFIs?
We don't yet. Usually the RFIs come in fairly late. But since we've been doing early invites, we tend to get some of the best sailors filing very early. And that's what happened this year. That's why all these, the names we have mentioned have filed RFIs.
But 12 places in the event.
12 places. There's a Balboa Yacht Club representative, which will undoubtedly be Sienna Nichols. And then the winner of the Rose Cup. The winner of the U.S. Intercollegiates also gets an invitation, but last year that was Justin Callahan, who of course has aged out. So we'll see. But we have some RFIs from Theo Westerlund from Sweden, and it'll be an interesting choice. Selection committee is always tough because, Tom, you're right. We generally have between 2.5 and 3 times the number of RFIs as we have places.
So other than Cole and Justin, are all of the third through, are they all eligible age-wise? Do you know?
Going from Josh and Morgan down, there are a number, a couple of them I've already mentioned, who are veterans and still eligible. So most of the fleet, I would say, from last year is eligible.
So it truly is a new generation going forward. Let's talk about last year's event for a second, because Josh was there all fighting it out, and that you ended up in the petit finale against Morgan. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah, that does sound right.
And you were 4th. And Morgan Pinckney from Newport Harbor Yacht Club, as Andy and I were saying at the top of this segment, I think he sailed 4 or 5 times already, hasn't he, Andy?
Yeah, he has. This is interesting, actually. Josh has sailed 3 times and gotten 2 fourths, and Morgan has sailed 5 times and gotten 3/3. So I think both these guys will be quite eager to move up. As Justin Callahan said last year, he had gotten 4th and then 3rd, and he said, I don't want to get 4th or 3rd again, and he didn't. He couldn't quite pull it off, but he got 2nd. So it's, as I said, it really is the changing of the guard. One of these guys is going to sort of distinguish themselves, if you will. And then the nice thing is that there are 3, once, Josh ages out, he has another couple years in the U25 events. So that's great. You can, Josh, you can sail against Cole Tapper for another year or so.
Yeah. Well, also got all the open events as well.
Yep, and the open events. And I should say that the quality of youth match racing now, because of all the regattas in as Josh said, Oceania, and in Europe and in the United States, the quality is terrific. So a Cole Tapper can win the Governor's Cup and then go on to get 5th or something like that in the first World Match Racing Tour Championships. So the difference between these sailors and the open ones that are 26, 27, 30, whatever is very small. And that for a while was not the case. It was at the very beginning. At risk of being immodest, Argyle Campbell and I teamed up to win a couple Congressional Cups when we were 19 and 20 after a couple Governor's Cups. But I think in the last few years, it's pretty clear that if you're at the top, if you're a semifinalist in the Governor's Cup, you can legitimately compete for a semifinal or better spot in any open regatta. And there are a lot of open regattas.
We've got a lot of people in the chat, and particularly from Australia and New Zealand. If anyone has a question for Josh or Andy, please put it in the chat, as Julia and I are monitoring the chat throughout the show. And then we'll go back to Andy to see if he's got any more questions for Josh. Andrew, any other questions for Josh?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry. I was daydreaming there about the Governor's Cup.
Yeah, your Governor's Cup for you. You always say it is your second Christmas. It comes along
Christmas week.
And it is for a lot of us too. I mean, Christine Gribben, who is our regatta chair and does a superb job year in and year out. She's done this for a dozen years now, hasn't she? And
she has.
And a lot of others. That club of ours, because I'm proudly an honorary member as well. And the club just does a fabulous job, from the servers in the dining room and the bar through the general manager and the flag officers. Everyone pitches in. I think, Josh, you would agree. There's a lot of great clubs in the world and a lot of cool events, great events, but Balboa is certainly right up there near the top.
Josh, be careful how you answer this. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I was just saying how it definitely is. Every year, it's always such a great event to attend. They always put on such a great show for us and really make us feel welcome.
Josh,
Good.
Chris
Okay,
Chris
you
Exley in
passed.
the chat. He passes, Andy. You're not going to withdraw his
You passed.
invitation.
No, not quite. One last question. And how do you like the boats, Josh?
I do love the boats, and I think my team this year is going to really like the boats as well.
That's another good answer.
And what does that? You're going to sail 3 up, Josh?
Yeah. This year I'm bringing back Zach Fong as he's still eligible, as it's the date by the end of the regatta for your birthday. And then I've also got I think you guys will like this. I've got Oliver Lloyd on our team this year as well, doing main and bow. So stealing him off Justin Callahan.
Oh, nice.
That's great. That's probably very wise.
I see in the chat Denise Peterson is on from Annapolis, another proud mama of course, of Jeffrey Peterson, who won he won it twice, did he, Andy?
Yep.
GovCup, and he
Twice.
won the Youth Worlds.
And he came close for a third, and he won the Youth Worlds. Other than that, he didn't have much of a career.
Chris Exley is in the chat, and Chris asks, what does Josh consider the greatest challenge to winning? What's the biggest obstacle to winning GovCup this year, Josh?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, it's always quite a battle managing like what the breeze is going to be, because we do get a generally consistent breeze, but sometimes that breeze is from 0 up to 10 knots. And what I found in previous years, picking and going to the correct top mark does really help out making a series a lot easier.
Yes.
Is there a story there about the top mark?
I think last year in our petites we might have gone to the wrong top mark as we were winning a race, but oh well, what can you do?
It's happened to the best, Josh. We've had Jeffrey Peterson one year did not round the leeward gate mark correctly, and on another when he took Cole up to Long Beach,
Yeah, I remember that.
Mark bluffing him, he returned and forgot that he had to keep the string around the mark and went to the other side, and so did not finish. So you're not alone. Everybody's done it.
Andy, will GovCup TV be back in full force with our executive producer, Chris Bretschker, and his team of 20-odd people who do really such a good job technically with it? I'm not sure about those commentators, but the
commentators are a little weak, but yes, the team is ready. The Adios, our base boat, is ready, and our director of craft services, Kari Bretschker, who with her husband Peter own the Adios. And yeah, we may have a couple interesting guest commentators. Here I know Will Bolden is going to be joining us from Western Australia, and we may have to get the the beep thing to be sure that some words aren't used. But no, I'm kidding. Will is a great guy, and we'll have our usual team on the base boat: you, Tom, me, and
Matty Whitfield.
And Matt Whitfield from the UK. And yeah, I think we're ready to go. We try to get a little better every year, and Chris Bretschker has some things in mind to do that.
And Andy, we're back on the normal schedule, meaning opening dinner on Monday night and then racing Tuesday through Saturday. Last year we were delayed a day. The whole schedule was pushed a day because of conflicts with other events that put their events on top of us. We don't need to name who. But Andy, so we're starting Monday night, and that begs the question of Josh. Josh, at the Meet the Teams Monday night function, are you ready to roast? You're a veteran, and this is your last year. Are you ready to roast Andrew, the host of that, properly this year?
Yeah, I think we will be. We'll do a bit of research, a bit of digging into his past. I'm sure we can find something he's not too proud of.
I'm sure you will, but I'm not absolutely sure I'm going to be the host this year. So we'll see. But do prepare just in case.
And if you need any help, I've been known to help some of the sailors in the past.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Thanks a lot, Tom. I really appreciate
Including Harry Price, who's another proud mama is on here. Christiane Price is saying from...
All right,
presumably,
Christiane's one of my favorite people.
Presumably in Sydney. She's saying good morning and hello, lovely Andy Rose.
Aha.
Yay.
Okay, anything else from either of you gentlemen?
I think I would just mention something we didn't, that Morgan Pinckney was unavailable this morning because he's doing some kind of fellowship in Washington, D.C., and I certainly hope it's an attempt to straighten out our administration.
Had to be political. We try not to be political on this show, but every now and then a comment creeps in.
Yeah, you could have bleeped me.
No. We appreciate all points of view here.
Well, I'm looking forward, Tom, to the rest of the selection, certainly. The final selection, and then we'll do the rest of the road to the GovCup. But this is as I said, in a way, it's more exciting than the last few years because there's no Jeffrey Peterson and Cole Tapper. There's some other sailors that are.
May I quote you? I'm going to call them both up afterwards and say, Andy says the regatta is going to be more exciting this year without you two Curtons here.
Well, it got a little boring with those two winning all the time. So we have a lot of potential here, and Josh. I've just written the draft press release, and what I'm saying is, while there's perhaps no clear favorite as there was last year when when Jeffrey was aged out too, but it would be no surprise at all if either you or Morgan ended up winning the Governor's Cup. So best of luck to you, and we look forward to seeing you in July.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really excited to come back again this year.
We're looking forward to having you. Andy, I'm looking forward to being down there. I don't know if I'm going to make it down there tomorrow for your special occasion.
Yes.
I know there's you came up to my 70th and you've got a landmark, a milestone birthday tomorrow.
Yes, it's my 39th birthday. I'm still 39, over and over and over again.
You and Julia both. I think it's because you both went to Stanford.
Nothing like it.
And you're refusing to get old in every sense of the expression.
Yeah, he keeps trying to call me old, and I look at him and I said, "Who's old?"
Yeah, Julia and I will go on strike if you keep that stuff up.
God, then we would really be in trouble.
You would.
Larry Kennedy is in the chat saying, see you at Oak Cliff, for he hopes he's going to see us there. I don't think I'll be there, but that's where the Rose Cup will take place this in June, Andy?
It is in June, and it's a return to Oyster Bay. And Larry Kennedy is a stalwart there, a charter member of the BIMBOs, which is the Brotherhood of International Mark Boat Operators. And Oak Cliff obviously does a tremendous job with all their programs led by Don Riley. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to make it, but I did go there one former time when we had it, and Dave Perry got me suite number 1 at the Sewanaka Yacht Club. And after I went up to the room, I came down to the front desk and said, please cancel all your future reservations this summer. I'm staying here. It is just amazing.
The Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club. Yeah, speaking of Larry Kennedy, he's got a kid who's not such a bad kid either, Andy.
No, not at all. Colin Kennedy has been sailing with us on my boat, my partner's boat. It's okay, the 50-footer. And we'll be going down the Ensenada race with us at the end of April, which I'm very happy to say. He has he got clearance. Given his security clearance, he can't leave the country without permission. So happily, he got permission.
Well, we're not quite sure what he does, but he might be a spook. Who knows?
You just never know.
One never knows. He's also a member of the GovCup TV team of some repute.
Yes, he is. He drives a very crucial job. He generally drives the roving boat. And that is sort of a constant thing between how close can I get and what could I get away with before Dr. Don Becker, the PRO, gets on the radio and says, you're way too close. So anyway.
Well, that's one of the great things about GovCup TV is that virtually everyone on that 20, I don't know, give or take 20 member team. It's 25, whatever it is that Chris Bretschker puts together. Josh, one of the reasons it works is that everybody wants to be on it because it's so much fun, and it's hard work, but it's so much fun. But everybody is a pretty keen racing sailor, which makes it better for you as a competitor. And I just wish more clubs. New York does stuff with the Invitational Cup. The Tommy Spithill's been doing a good job down at the CYCA and at a couple of the other clubs. They're doing a nice job out in Perth, speaking of Perth, with TV for regattas, including the youth regattas. And do they do much TV at the RNZ these days? Do you ever any of your youth regattas?
Not particularly. I think we still have our sort of standard photographer, and we have a few bits and pieces around there, but unfortunately no live stream like that you guys have. I think we like to keep it for your nice special regatta to keep it very prestigious.
Well, Andy and I keep saying we're going to run some kind of a seminar. Maybe one of these Sailing Illustrated shows would just do a how to do it kind of a, because it's not that difficult. It's not rocket science, as I like to say.
But the difference between being on the water and knowing what you're doing versus being in a broadcast booth 10,000 miles away is.
Yeah, we think that's pretty important. I would say, Josh, that a few years ago, we actually, there was a watch party at the Royal NZ of the Governor's Cup, and we were able to go to them briefly and show a picture of everybody at the bar watching. So I hope they will be back again for you this year to see if you can pull this off.
I hope so. That would be pretty awesome.
Josh has got a pretty good shot at it. It wouldn't surprise any of us if he were in the finals with Morgan Pinckney or somebody else.
Somebody new.
For the 59th edition of the GovCup coming up the end of the last week of July. Andy Rose, thank you very much indeed for coming on for our first Road to the GovCup segment. Josh Hyde down in Auckland, thank you, sir, very much indeed. We'll look forward to seeing you in a couple, 3 months. Anything else?
That'll do it. Thanks, Tom.
Much appreciated.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom, for having me.
Thanks, Julia. See you soon.
Josh Hyde, Andy Rose, Road to the GovCup, our first segment for this year. And we'll try to get as many of the skippers as possible. Last year, I think we got to all but 2. It's tough with the time zones. And of course, all these kids, they're kids, are all super busy, Julia, as you know,
yes,
with their own sailing programs, with school, with life. So it's nice. Josh very quickly agreed to come on, and we hope to have Morgan on as well as the other early invitee. Andy has and his committee have already invited those 2. And if anyone else is still in need of an invitation, if you have not already applied, I believe Andy is still, he and the selection committee are still accepting invitations, the RFI, request for invitations. It's all online at the Balboa Yacht Club's GovCup site, and go there. But the time's running out because they've got, as Andy said, something like 2 or 3 times the number of slots, the dozen slots that we normally have for entries for competitors in that regatta. Blake Sale, got to run to my doctors. Alan Long, another great interview. Good luck, Josh. Ted Ryman saying, great guests. Thanks, Josh and Andy. A lot of them are saying. Another rant from me. I don't know what I was ranting about, Alan, about television, or was it Julia who was ranting about why the television announcers, the commentators, should be on the water in a boat like we do at GovCup?
I think he was.
It was your rant, Julia.
I think it was your summertime rant.
Oh, no, that's ancient history. I haven't done that in at least 45 minutes.
I know.
I haven't done that in 45 minutes. Julia, it's time to move ahead here. Let's get to John Emmett's Coaching Corner. Super Fuzzy John Emmett checking in from the UK.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fuzzy. Welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner. It always shocks me how quickly this comes around every week, or should I say twice a week. And I think as you get older, maybe time goes a bit quicker. I've just had a quick date with Lily and was chatting about professional sailing. And it's amazing also how difficult it is to transition from one part of the sport into another. But I think I'm going to go back to some key topics now. And one of the key things, you cannot be too fit. You can be too heavy or you can be too light, and you can be the wrong size for your boat. I mean, if you look at other sports, basketball players and sumo wrestlers and jockeys are all very fit. And by fit, I mean they're fit for purpose, fit for doing the sport that they want to do. But they will be sailing very different types of boats. And when you're looking at professional sailing and moving into that, you need to really know what your strengths and weaknesses are. But one of the key things is to be fit and healthy, and that offers you a long and successful competitive life. And sadly, I think a lot of people may drop out of Olympic sailing or elite sailing in general due to age, illness or injury. So you want to do your best. I spent a lot of time trying to get my arthritic wrist nursing me through another year. And I think this idea about looking after your body because you've only got one is so important. So I think in future coaching corners, I'm going to be looking at this road into professional sailing, which is the elite end of the sport. But once again, probably the most important thing for the longevity of the sport is the grassroots sailing. And I was at the pub Sunday night when we had, good old British carvery. And one of the scary things was talking about how many clubs were highly successful 10 years ago. And they've almost disappeared now. So we cannot take our sailing for granted. And it's a bit like performance at the Olympics. If you're at a high level, you're effectively going down because you need to be getting better and better and better. And it's the same with sailing. We need to be doing as much as possible for our members and just always working, to make sailing as attractive as it possibly can be. And on that note, I hope everybody's now back on the water in the Northern Hemisphere, sailing fast, sailing safely, and probably most importantly, having lots and lots of fun.
John Emmett in the UK, and we like to remind you at the end of his reports, as we've been doing for well over a year now, that we are making a concerted effort, Julia.
Yes, indeed.
To get sailing back into the Paralympics for 2032 in Brisbane. So we hope very much that the world sailing officials and other major domos connected with world sailing and the Aussies. I know the Aussies are working hard on this, including a number of our FOSI, to get Paralympic back in, either as parasailing, either as a Paralympic regular sport going forward, or at least as a demonstration of a demonstration sport for 2032.
Yes.
And maybe that will cement us for the future. Thank you, John Emmett. Thank you very much for your report. John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet on this show for the 10th of March. It's hard to believe. It's almost the Ides of March, Julia.
Yes.
I see Mark Michelson is reminding us, we got a lot of holidays coming up here. We got Andy Rose's birthday tomorrow, other significant dates. We've got St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
I think somebody else has a birthday.
Yes.
And you're turning what? You're 30, you're 39th, you're 36. What did Andy
37.
say? 37. Julia's March birthday, and we've got spring. We've got the vernal, as we say in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes.
The vernal equinox is coming up here on the 1st? Well, that's only 11 days away.
Yes.
Mark Michelson was reminding us in the chat.
Right. I always love this time of year when things sort of just open up and the sun comes back and all that.
Well, now that we're on daylight time. Oh, I brought it up. I brought it up again. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Those guys, I mean, it's always great to have Andy on, but Josh Hyde, who used to be kind of shy and reserved, you can see he's starting to come into his own, a little more self-confidence. And
he's very good.
I'll work with him if he probably doesn't need any help, but if he wants a little help, I'll work with him on his Monday night. As I have worked with Morgan and Jeffrey Peter, some of the other kids, because that is, that's a tradition that comes out of the GovCup, or out of, Congressional Cup, where we talked about Harold Cudmore, Ted Turner, Dennis Conner. Dennis was not a great, you wonder about him being an after-dinner speaker, and he turns out to be, he puts it like everything else Dennis does. He's very thorough and he puts a lot of thought into it. And he comes off quite well. Turner was funny as hell any number of times, but the best after dinner speaker still is Harold Cudmore, who used to do the Congressional Cup almost every year. Very popular. They'd always invite him back just because he was so much fun.
Yeah.
Plus, Congressional Cup used to be this time of the year. It's been pushed later now. It used to be during St. Patty's week. And we'd all repair down to 2nd Street in Long Beach to one of the Irish bars, led by Harold.
That's right.
Who didn't drink much because he was yacht racing. He was sailing. And of course, as judges or umpires, we didn't drink much either. And now, not at all.
I know, and you're no fun at all anymore. Yeah.
Bill Haynes, hate to say this, but the IOC should ban the U.S. from competing in the Olympics because the attack on Iran occurred during the Olympic truce period. Oh, we got some politics from Bill Haynes. Hannah Mills is very young. Her birthday is the 29th of February, so Hannah's...
My mother's was, too.
Was it? So she's, only 2 or 3 years old. Is that right? I mean, Hannah Mills. On leap year, a leap year baby. Well, belated happy birthday to Hannah and David James. Ted Turner was a better after cocktail speaker. He was good. He was funny and clever. I've got a video. Maybe I'll play that Turner video I've got of him doing his speech at one of the congressional guys. Not a video I took, but I've got it somewhere here. It gives me great. I always say this, but when we start up these Road to the GovCups, and you see these kids and you see how articulate they are and how bright and worldly they are, because they do get around a little bit with sailing and with travel, and it gives me great confidence in the world going forward.
I love this series because you really do get to know each of these kids, young men.
They're kids.
Yes. And that appreciation grows throughout the regatta.
Alan Long is in. I should bring this up too because it's been in the news all morning. Bravo Zulu, Alan Long is saying, and Bill Haynes, Bravo Zulu to Australia for allowing the Iranian women's soccer team asylum, of course. What a tough thing that would be, though, if you had family back in Iran and you had to decide between staying in Australia and risking, bad things for your family if you did not go back.
Yeah.
Tough. David James is saying, except for a presser he's talking about Turner again, except for a presser in 77 when he disappeared under the table. That was actually in 83, David. You're right. It was in 77 when he won the Cup in 1977 in Newport.
Yeah.
Greg Normand is on. Greg's been doing some great reportage. I'll tell you a little bit about it in a minute. He says, as someone who spends 50 weeks a year around young adults, they are not kids, Tom, and they are the best, just like they've been for generations. That's probably fair to say, too. But I think these sailors get better and better, though, at being worldly and being kids, young adults. But some of them are kids, too, Greg. I mean, Sienna Nichols was 16 during GovCup last year, as her mom said. Melanie said when she came on in 17. That's a kid. That's a teenager.
15 when she started.
Yep. Well, yeah, we had her up here at St. Francis. Shall we carry on, Julia?
All right.
Let's get on here with a Bravo Zulu to these guys. It was a dogfight for the ages. This is the press release from the Star Class in the Bacardi Cup. Paul Kayard from the USA and Fritjof Kleen from Germany, who also won the Worlds together this year. They won the 99th Bacardi Cup in Miami. Over the weekend was the final racing, and it was the 2nd through the 7th, so I guess it wrapped up on Saturday night on Biscayne Bay in the Star Class. There are other classes are racing there too, but the Star's been at it for almost 100 years, back in Cuba, as JFK would have said when that regatta started. 75 stars from 23 nations.
Wow.
And, of course, Kayard's been trying to win this thing for 45 years of chasing one of sailing's most storied trophies. Paul Kayard finally won the Bacardi Cup I call him Kayard because he calls everybody by their last name. He calls me Eamon, and does he call you Vedekint?
No.
He calls you Julia. Well, he's more polite than that. But so Paul finally won the Bacardi Cup alongside Fritzov, who was clean, or Frida as they call him. The two put the cherry on top of their legendary year after winning the 2025 Star Worlds. Kayard now claims the title he has been chasing for, now they said 46 years. I don't know if it's 45, 46, but that's their press release. A quote here, a dogfight for the ages. The trophy was hard-earned. Robert Hyde from Brazil, one of the world's best sailors of all time. And the esteemed Austin Sperry, who crewed for Kostecki, for your friend and mine, J.K., when he won it the Star Worlds a couple of years ago. Just 3 points behind Kayard and Clean forced a final race showdown that history won't soon forget. And that was the match race I alluded to, or didn't even allude to, talked about at the top of the show. And there's Kayard on the left and Hyde on the right. And Paul, and this was, it started out before the race, and they went hammer and tongs, went at it, match racing. And of course, Paul's got arguably more match racing experience than Robert. Both boats had deep starts well behind the fleet after their pre-start, Paul's very aggressive pre-start tactics, match racing one-on-one. Kayard went right while the rest of the fleet went left, keeping close tabs on his rival as the two legends fought their own battle on the first beat. At the windward mark, Kayard rounded in 26th and Hyde in 30th. Paul's just trying to stay ahead of him in case he's got to sail him back into the fleet again. For Kayard, that was exactly where he needed to be. Hyde fought hard to escape his captor and eventually managed to shake loose, charging through the fleet in a remarkable comeback. Despite Kayard's efforts to control him, Hyde passed boat after boat and climbed toward the top of the leaderboard. On the final lap, Kayard and Clean began to visibly relax. Their fate was now in Hyde's hands. Could he pass the entire fleet and finish in the top two, which would claim the victory for him? Hyde did everything he could. His heroics carried him past dozens of boats, and he ended up finishing 10th overall, which, of course, was not enough. Kayard and Clean had done their job. The Bacardi Cup was theirs.
Wow.
Just a note about Robert, who I guess I've known since, I don't know, long time. Robert Hyde is a Brazilian sailor who won 2 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and a bronze from 5 Olympic Games. And he also won the Star Sailors League Finale, the final. He is one of the most successful sailors at Olympic Games and one of the most successful Brazilian Olympic athletes of any sport, being one of only 2 to earn 5 medals, along with fellow sailor Torben Grail.
Yes,
Something in the water down there, Julia.
Yes.
You love the Grail family.
Yes.
And only behind the 6 medals of Rebecca and Andreda, he is the only Brazilian sailor to win. He, meaning back to Robert, is the only Brazilian sailor to win medals in both dinghy and keelboat classes. That's how versatile he is, how good a sailor he is. And he is widely considered to be, this is from Wikipedia, I didn't put the Wikipedia in the upper right corner, is widely considered to be one of the greatest sailors of all time. But Kayard and Clean took the victory. Kayard's America's Cup home match race prowess sealed the championship and all that pre-start maneuvering, and ended one of sailing's longest personal pursuits. Quote, I've been chasing the Bacardi for 45 years. I've gotten second many times. It was the one thing I had not won in the Star class.
I'm glad for him.
There they are with a couple of officials, including the gentleman, that's Eddie I can't remember his last name, Coutillia, who's been a Bacardi rep for years. He lives in Miami, of course. This means a lot to me, Kayard said. I've been frustrated for so many years. Bacardi's Eddie Coutillia keeps telling me, next year is going to be your year. The pressure builds and builds. I'm grateful that we got the job done. A 200-pound gorilla off my back. And there is Eddie pouring some, guess what? some Bacardi rum into the trophy.
Aged old.
And next year marks the 100th Bacardi Cup, a milestone that reflects one of the longest standing commercial partnerships in all of sport, not just our beloved sport. It is the longest as far as we know in our sport. For 99 years, Bacardi has stewarded this iconic regatta, preserving the traditions and camaraderie that define the Starfleet. KR now joins the long line of champions whose names are etched into the history of the Cup.
That's great.
And should I rant? This is what the Olympics needs, is this history and tradition of the last 99 years of the Bacardi Cup and all the other starboat racing that goes on.
Yeah.
Why we kicked the star out of the Olympics, we did ourselves huge damage as a sport
Yes.
to kick the star out of the Olympics. It ought to be reinserted just like parasailing, ASAP. There's the rest of the leaderboard. Caird and Clean on 11 points, Scheit just 1 point behind them.
Oh.
And Robert had Austin Sperry, as I mentioned, who is a superb American sailor here and sailed with JK when they won, John Kostecki when they won it a couple years ago. And the winner of the last 6 Bacardi Cups, Mateusz Kuznierowicz, sailing with another Brazilian, Bruno Prada. There is something in the water down there. And because Mateusz is from Poland, 16 points. He's won the last, in fact, I think the two of them together won the last 6 Bacardi Cups. Diego Negri and Sergio Lambertenghi from Italia were 23 points, were 4th. And our longtime friend, former America's Cup colleague, Eric Doyle with Payson Infelice were 5th on 30 points. But the competition in that class,
Oh, yes.
Julia, continues to be astonishing,
Yes.
amazing, and they just go from strength to strength. It doesn't matter if they're in the Olympics or out of the Olympics.
We've talked about it before, but they may be stronger because they're not in the Olympics.
Arguably, some would say exactly that. What's in the chat here? Is Asylum Auto, okay, they're back talking about the Iranian soccer team, the football team, ladies football team down in Australia. Bravo Zulu to Oz for helping with that. And we'll see how that all works out. That was an awesome fight, Jonathan Shore. I think talking about this Star Bacardi Cup final, that final race. Match racing under fleet racing rules is super dodgy, Steve Gruber says. Well, not really. You're just pre-starting and you're trying to keep the other guy under your thumb or gal. Absolutely. Robert is just a great guy and a true gentleman. This is Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. I am lucky to know him and his lovely wife. I don't know if it's Ginta or Ginta. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Portuguese, I think, name. Gordon Smith replying to Fritz Mueller, Asylum. Okay, they're back and forth on that. Getting some politics in here, Julia.
Uh-oh.
The Star and Finn have done better without the Olympics, Dolly DeVola asserts. May well be true.
I dreamed about Dolly DeVoe last night.
You did?
I don't know why. I just remembered.
What kind of a dream was it, Julia? Dolly would love to know
I'll never tell.
now that you brought it up.
I'll never tell.
Huh?
I never tell.
It's that hormone that you're taking now.
I've always been taking
Yeah, but you were off it for a while, and now you're back on it.
You bet.
Dolly, better stay out of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Dolly, for a bit. You might get attacked by Julia. Okay, shall we carry on and get to the America's Cup, Julia? What now?
Andrew says, call me, Julie. I love it.
Gordon says he was not making a political comment. Yeah, that's a good point. He was making a logistical citizenship and residency comment, but there are issues, tough issues. Having lived in Germany for 10 years and then in Spain for 10 years and bopping around in Australia and New Zealand as a guest for, under visa situations.
Yes.
Well, when you're in the America's Cup, we all had guest visas
Yeah.
that lasted for the duration of the event. But, sometimes you ended up going back and forth a lot more for other purposes.
Yes.
AC 38 Cup Date is up next. We're
yay.
about an hour and 9 minutes into this show. And the big news, of course, is that the Kiwis they didn't actually get it in the water unless they did so today. What time is it down in Auckland now? It's -4, so it's 10 o'clock in the morning down there. It's 14:10 here. And this was their AC 75 from 2024. And of course, under the Cup now, Julie, you can't build a new boat. You have to use an existing, or you can build a new boat, but you have to use the plans to an old boat, yada, yada. But the teams that were in the Cup last time, it gave them a huge leg up over other teams. If another team can't build other than with somebody else's plans. So the Kiwis, who of course wrote the rule, the class rule, have, as usual, put themselves in a very strong position because they have already rolled out their modified 2024 AC 75 for use in 2027. Richard Gladwell's written a superb article on Sail World, and I will quote from some of it now, excerpting from Richard's article. Notice they got Naples on the foil arms as a sponsor. So there is the venue sponsoring, obviously sponsoring the ETNZ boat. Richard writes, Emirates Team New Zealand, yesterday this article appeared, Emirates Team New Zealand has revealed how they see the 38th America's Cup shaping up at a media session ahead of the launch of their repurposed, I like that word, AC 75, in which they expect to defend the America's Cup in Naples. He's hedging there, in which they expect to defend the America's Cup in Naples July 2027. The team disclosed that they expect to be sailing tomorrow, Tuesday, which is now Wednesday down there, but out of Auckland. But it was not to be with a fresh easterly coming in earlier than expected. In fact, Richard was telling me that he was not sure they were going to be able to sail at all this week because of the strong pre-winter, pre-autumnal. I mean, it's about to be their autumn down there.
Yeah.
So the team disclosed that they expect to be sailing, as I just said, but then they didn't. And the AC 75 rolled out of the shed, had its mast installed, and with the decision taken to cancel the day's sailing, the AC 75 was de-rigged and returned to the shed. So I don't know.
It's a lot of work.
I don't see anybody in the chat who knows if they were sailing today or not. But this is a look at what was going on down there, courtesy of, I think, New Zealand television.
It's really exciting to be back in the 75. It's great sailing around the 40s, but the 75s are a different league. So we're really looking forward to this week. The boat behind me here has had about 10,000 hours of time in the yard. It's one of the benefits of having our own in-house construction with the boatyard. They're always so efficient and they always hit their date. So we're looking at it like it's a new boat.
Under the hood, there's some new systems, new hydraulics, new control systems, and the way we're thinking about sailing the boat. It's great to be back in the saddle.
For the last few months, we've been going through all the parts servicing, and to finally have them back on the boat and be able to go out sailing, be fantastic. A great line in the sand, if you like.
Today really marks that occasion of the amount of effort that goes into this program. We're the lucky ones at the end of the day. We're the sailors. We're the ones who get to go sailing it. But for the last 6 months, this boat's been in a shed getting a full birthday. Today's like a tribute to those guys and girls up there who have been making all the changes to the boat. Today's a day to thank our team, but also to thank the families and the partners and all the sponsors of the program. And I'm actually really looking forward to getting the boat back in the water, sheeting it on and letting it rip again.
Yeah, that may have been a team video. I can't remember where I found that this morning, but in rushing around to get this show put together, I've got another video in a moment that came from the America's Cup, in effect, the organizing committee. Is Napoli sponsoring, Steve Gruber asks, is Napoli sponsoring ETNZ, or will all the teams have that branding on their foil? Good question. Maybe that the venue did that deal with ACP or with Mr. Dalton to require that they be on all the boats in return for hosting and providing a big chunk of money. Steve Gruber asking the question that always would come to mind from somebody as smart as Steve. Maybe the boat didn't pass structural testing. No, I don't think that was it. From what I hear and read, Steve, I think it was just way too windy to put the boat out on the water for its first go with a brand. You got to put it in the water with reasonably light conditions, load the thing up, do the dockside testing, and then if that all goes well, then you can stick it in the water and maybe go for a sail. These teams are so good, particularly ETNZ, are so good at getting out on the water the first time through.
Yeah.
It used to be that you'd sit at the dock and do dockside testing for 2 or 3 days, and there'd be a problem, and you'd head back in the shed and fix it. These shore teams, and particularly in the America's Cup these days, are really really good, particularly the Team New Zealand shore team.
They have lots of practice.
Speaking of which, the leader of the pack, design team chief Dan Bernasconi, says this again from Richard Gladwell, there are significant differences between the 2024 and 2027 AC-75s, even though they are the same hull shape and use legacy masts. Remember, that was a cost-cutting measure. You have to use old masts. You talk about giving the existing teams a huge advantage over a team that wanted to come in and kick the tires. I mean, like this team we talked about the other day, this Czech team, or even, Chris Poole's team, if he ever got a team. Quote, the main difference performance-wise will be earlier takeoff, he claims, meaning getting foil-borne. We've lost a good chunk of weight out of the boat, which will help in those light wind marginal foiling conditions. That's where we'll see a jump in performance and these are quotes, at the other end of the scale, at the top end of the breeze, with the boat getting lighter, you actually have less righting moment.
Why would that be?
Well, because they don't have as much weight in the foil arms. So on paper, the boats will be slower, but at the same time, you'll make up for that with improved foils, improved sails, and control systems. Or so he asserts, and he's probably right.
Yeah.
Overall, I think the top end will likely stay the same or get a little bit faster. And then the bottom end, there will be a bigger difference. So they need to get the boats foiling and keep them foiling so we don't have that madness, that crummy stuff we had during the last was, fall off the foils and somebody gets half a kilometer ahead, and then that boat leading falls off the foils and the other boat gets foil borne and they pass that boat and go into the lead fight. Just madness. Madness. Sorry, am I ranting again?
That's all right. I approve of that rant.
Ostensibly, where did I get to? Ostensibly, as a means of putting a cap on campaign costs, as well as sailing the same hull. This is Richard Gladwell writing, not a quote. As well as sailing the same hull they sailed in 2024, or one to a design from that era, if you're a new team. The teams are required to reuse a lot of legacy gear, including spars, some sails, and wing foils. Again, just feathering their own nests. Bernasconi says there are few advantages to building new masts, as they are almost a one design anyway. He sees the big gains coming from, quote, the foil wings, the way we control the foils, the sails, and the way we control the sails. What kind of a writing is that? Quote, that's all completely open and all of it available, for us to iterate on this campaign. So I don't think that the legacy gear use has been a handicap to performance development this time. Richard Gladwell writing another superb article, and this is excerpts. It was a much longer article than that because, as you all know, Richard is rather prolific.
And thorough.
Good article on sailboard. So here's a couple more pictures that I don't think Richard took these pictures. I think the team photog did, or somebody who was there. And interesting that this class rule, we've done a little look at that, and John Sweeney, who is, in the challenging, not for going on the water and challenging, but challenging this whole setup. It's interesting. He points out, and I'll show you why, that what we've always called cord.
Challenger.
Ken McAlpine and I made that up when we wrote the class rule back for the new IACC rule and the protocol, the first what was called the protocol for 1992. And it's COR, Challenge of Record / Defender. And that became a term of art because we needed something to describe those two who, when they mutually consent to something, they have the power, that becomes law. CORD, COR/D, Challenge of Record Defender. And it's stuck, and it works. But it was always the yacht clubs.
Yes.
Was the Challenge of Record Defender, not the teams.
Right. So
look at this. This is the class rule. John Sweeney has pointed out to the Attorney General. CORD, Challenge of Record Defender, agreed to the publication of version 3.01 of these AC 75 class rules. This is the signature page at the bottom of the rule. On the 9th day of September 2025, signed by the teams. Dan Bernasconi, who's the design director, technical director for ETNZ, Team New Zealand Limited, and Nick Holroyd, the technical director for Athena Racing, not the yacht clubs.
Right.
It's typical. This is not being run by the yacht clubs. We all know that. They have completely gutted the deed of gift. This is just another example, and John Sweeney's on top of this, and I'll tell you in a minute. I think John Sweeney's making some progress with this whole issue, and I think he's zeroed in now on what are probably the most important issues, and we'll tell you more about that in a sec. So the other thing is, when we did the class rule, the first IACC rule, drafts got passed around. It was all public. It was all wide open. The drafts got passed around to all the previous teams that had sailed in the Cup up till that point. The 88 was just 2 teams, but I mean the 87 teams that were in Perth and Frio, and all prospective teams. It was just sent out to everybody. And not only could they see it and see what was going on, see the changes, because all the changes were redlined. You could see what had been amended from, because you go through 20 drafts or something.
Right.
But they could make comments as well. They could say, hey, this doesn't make a lot of sense. What does this mean? And then I, as the wordsmith, would go clean up the language. And if it was technical, then Ian Murray or Ken McAlpine or one of the rocket scientists, one of the smart guys, would fix that. And then I'd be sure it meant what it said and said what it meant. Does the crane operator that dropped Teihoro still operate crane for TNZ? So yeah, Steve Gruber thinks they got better software, but they also, TNZ has, a superb boat. And oops, let me just stop that. This is a video now, it's about a 3-minute video that America's Cup 38 put out on the launch or on the rolling out of this new boat. I thought you'd enjoy this as well. Not that. That's John Sweeney. We'll talk about that in a sec. Let's see if I can back this up enough to start the video. Thus.
I doubt that there'll be a team that comes out with something completely radical that changes the game. If they do and they're successful, then it will be a big upset. Disappointing with the breeze yesterday would have been awesome, but the rest of the week's looking pretty blown out. So yeah, really just a case of going through a checklist. Structurally, we've made some changes to the boat. We want to make sure everything's in good shape, and just want to lower our risk. So by doing that on a day where it's not sort of gusting up to 20 knots, particularly with a new sailing crew as well. The boats overall are quite a lot lighter. We've taken weight out of the foils and a few other areas, and also going down 4 cyclos and up 1 sailor and guest race. So it does change the weight distribution a little bit. So you've got to look at it all as a sort of overall balance and make sure we're within the rule box, but at the front end of it.
Can you talk about what the 5th person on board will be doing?
Sail trim is the obvious one. You've got 2 helmsmen and 2 foil trimmers, where the sail trim was kind of divided up between those people before. So I think for sure they'll be doing more sail trim and probably also more strategy. You've got more opportunity to have heads out of the boat now that you've got really an extra sailor. For sure, there were things that we didn't get onto last campaign. I mean, you look at sort of the detail of fairings around the German and the main travellers. It's always wondering how you can do better there. And yeah, in terms of sensors on the foils, Ineos last time had some nice flow sensors, which we've adopted for this campaign. There's lots of optimization in a load of different areas. I doubt that there'll be a team that comes out with something completely radical that changes the game. I mean, we don't have a specific target. We don't sort of begin the campaign and say this is what we've got to get to. I guess we're just taking any gains we can as they come along, and every decision we make, we're taking the positive. I mean, occasionally there's trade-offs with cost or with weight, and then we have to sort of look at one versus another. But no, we haven't sort of projected forward and said by the time we race we're going to be 5% quicker than we were in Barcelona. It's also different across the wind speed range. I mean, the boats have got a fair bit lighter, so at the bottom end of the range they will be a lot quicker. Top end there's less riding moment, so all things being equal they would be a bit slower, but probably you make that gain back again in more efficiency in the foils and the way we're controlling the boat. So no, we don't have a specific number we're targeting, but it's the third generation of the class, and I think it's the smaller gains we're looking at this time.
Ominous music.
I know.
Huh?
Yeah.
Where'd you push your mic away? You got your mic, you relaxed there and had some coffee. Pull your mic back up, please. Come on. There you go. Thank you, Julia. That's why we used a shotgun mic, so you couldn't get at it. It just stayed there and kept the distance the same, but it sounds a lot better with your new mic.
It does.
And you're doing a good job with it. So, yeah, so this is interesting. Dan Bernasconi, obviously, is one of the smartest people in the sport, and he's been on this show. He was one of the first people to come on when they did the new class back in leading up to 2021, so that must have been in 2017. Is that right? We weren't doing the show, and yeah, we were. So we were. So one of our early guests, and he described the rule and what they were trying to do and so on and so forth. And he's a very smart, articulate, low-key, chill, as the kids would say. Well, I can't say kids. I got to say young adults.
Yes.
Isn't that what Greg Norman's told me to say?
Yes. Well, it is true.
And look at how many shore staff they need to get this thing on the water. Well, that's been true. And, that was true of that's been true of the catamarans, of the AC-72s. That's been true for a while. And again, it's a lot. Ed remembers the 12-meter days when you didn't need a huge shore team. And these were traditional yachts, and you could even leave them in the water overnight.
Yes.
And not worry about them getting wrecked by...
Get wet.
Well, it's not so much the wet as a powerboat goes by, and you got to roll it into the shed and work on it. For every hour that you sail, there's probably 2-3 hours of work to be done, maintenance and otherwise.
Yeah.
Julia, I mentioned John Sweeney, and he is the guy who's, of course, been following up. He's been threatening to file a lawsuit in the New York court system, which is where the deed is adjudicated. John Sweeney is a superb sailor. He was an America's Cup colleague with one of our Oracle racing teams, maybe two, and he asserts that the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is violating and is just purely and simply violating the deed of gift. He's done a fair bit of writing. He is in contact now, and Ed Worley has had coffee with John a couple, 3 times, maybe lunch. And I am in regular contact with John now. He sends me daily his latest thinking and his latest updates, texting back and forth. So, and John's, of course, here in the Bay Area. At some point, we'll probably get him on the show and see what he's thinking. He has been on the show. He's just done Greg Norman's Inside Great Lakes Sailing podcast. He's also done another Bay Area podcast, and he's starting to go more public with what his thinking is. But it sounds to me, and to Ed Worley, who sat with him now a couple times, sounds to us like John is making real progress with the Attorney General. And his strategy maybe has changed a bit. Rather than filing a lawsuit himself in the New York courts, he seems to be motivating the Attorney General, at least the head of the Charities Division, which oversees the deed of gift, to go have a look at all this. And John tells me that the Attorney General, the head of the Charities Bureau, has in fact written to the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron saying, hey, what's going on? What's this all about? Can you tell us about
it'll be interesting with that.
Who's running the show and what's yada, yada. Now, of course, RNZ, as Hamish Ross will tell you, a former member of the RNZ, and he knows this stuff as well as I, the club will just send that to the team. The teams and their lawyers, Russell Green and whoever their legal team is, and they must have lawyers in New York at this point, will write the response and send it back. They'll do everything they can do to frustrate away any sort of an action by coming out of the Attorney General's office in Albany, New York. Now, the state Attorney General is not only a technician and a legal technician in effect, but there's a big learning curve. They oversee some huge charities. I think I read some of them the other day, Ford Foundation and some of the other New York-based charities. But this is a charity. It's a charitable trust. It's a deed dating to 1857. And there have been several court cases now that have confirmed that this is, in fact, a deed and trust matter that comes under the purview of the Attorney General. I think John has done a real service here. I think he's gotten the attention of the Attorney General. I think he's helped educate the Attorney General. And I think the AG, from what I'm hearing, is getting himself educated. One hears the AG is also going to contact, if he hasn't already, the New York Yacht Club and go try to take a meeting, as they would say in Hollywood. Go take a meeting with New York Yacht Club. Now, I haven't heard of that from New York. I wouldn't, because they don't tell me anything about this kind of stuff. But that's what I'm hearing from John's side, and I wouldn't be surprised, Julia, if that in fact comes to pass.
It should.
It should. Gordon Smith, John Sweeney may be making great arguments to the New York AG, but his public statements don't appear to be very convincing. His not-for-profit post recently rather ignores what not-for-profit means, but let us see, perhaps I'm missing something. Now, I think, Gordon, he's been off on some tangents, as I've said on this show, and I agree with Gordon that some of this stuff that he has argued has not been correct, like the water line. We should have a 90-foot boat. In fact, I think John's wrong when he asserts that you must defend the cup in a monohull, a displacement monohull, and I think he's not correct when he asserts that it has to be done in the home waters of the club. I don't read that in the deed the same way that he does. But you never know. I mean, different people can read the deed and the history of the deed, and then if it's not clear within the four corners of the deed under New York law, it goes back to, you can start to delve into the intention of the donors and their letters and back and forth and other historical things. But, what John is doing, and he's getting legal advice as well, I think is throwing things up on the wall, the mud up on the wall, to see what sticks. And I do think that ACP is illegal. I think the club's not running the event, as I've been saying for years now, is not correct. And I think, as I've said over and over and over again, RNZ is in violation of the deed of gift, if for no other reason than they have delegated their trustee responsibility to a team. And the deed is quite clear that the trophy belongs to the club, not to the team that won it. And by all appearances, the team has taken the trophy and is by their own admission. Grant Dalton and Ben Ainsley are saying, well, yeah, we're trying to modernize the cup and make it into a big commercial success, which is not at all the purpose of the deed or of this trophy or of the trust. And I think they're going to get themselves in a jam. And I salute John.
And then what happens?
Well, who knows? Who knows? It's like when you go to war, you never know what's really going to happen. So who knows?
I'm glad he pursued it, though, because there are some obvious questions all the way around.
Well, and as I said, he just sat in an interview with Greg Norman. And Greg is saying John has the AG taking a hard look. This is real. And I agree with Greg, and Greg and I were texting this morning. So And Steve Gruber says, in my experience with Sweeney, he doesn't do too many things halfway, half-assed.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think that's my experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Worley, who has met with John, history and tradition of how the past trustees handled the cup, I think is what Ed means, is relevant to how the deed of gift is enforced. Maybe. I think that, again, we've learned, having been intimately involved in both the 98 court case and the 2010 court case, and won both.
Right. Says he modestly.
Well, it was won by a superb legal team.
Mm-hmm.
And John Marshall, this guy who was on the show, John, who was a superb member of the league, not a lawyer, superb member of the legal effort for the 88 Cup, because he's just exceedingly bright. I mean, the lawyers sometimes they're not necessarily order takers, but to some degree they're order takers, and some degree they're just going to do the rote writing and the hard, the heavy lifting after we've laid out what the issues are. Yeah, the lawyers come back and say, well, yeah, but what about this or what about that?
Yep.
We've tested this theory and we're not quite so sure that makes sense. And here's how the law normally gets applied. Here's the case law, what's happened in the past. And Greg Norman says he's talked to the AG's office today, and if New Zealand decides to avoid any communication, they will find themselves in peril.
Aha.
And as I say, Greg is he's come to sailing late. Remember Inside Great Lake Sailing? He's been on the show. I think I've been on his show. He comes as a hardcore journalist. The guy has been a stringer for, I can't remember who all, New York Times and others, ESPN. Mm-hmm. And the guy is investigative might be a little, he's an investigative journalist. I mean, he knows how to delve in and has delved in. And I think you'll see coming out of Greg's work here, helping John, and we'll see. Steve Gruber says, I think Marshall might be the second smartest person I know. He's right up there with the smart people I know too, Julie, just like you, and Andy Rose. And John went to Rockefeller University. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. He was like a biochemist or something.
Yeah.
He's rocket science type person.
Yes.
Smart people. There's no substitute for smart people. Marshall seemed to be able to point the lawyers in the right direction. Yes. John Sweeney seems to be pointing the lawyers in the right direction. He's also having some fun with this. He does feel passionately about what he's doing. I'm glad he's doing it. I will continue to say here that I think the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is the worst trustee in the history of the sport. I think they have totally and utterly broken the deed, and I think that Grant Dalton and the others involved, commercial greed, and they admit that they're trying to make this a huge commercial success with this so-called ACP, which is completely...
And it's not supposed to be like the Sail GP model.
Exactly.
Except that it is.
Well, they're trying to make it like Formula One, I think, is really what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So here's his cartoon. I don't know who's doing his cartoons, if this is AI or what, but you can't sell the regatta. It's supposed to be sailed here. That's obviously Auckland in the background. Mm-hmm. And the deed of gift under his arm dated 1857 as the RNZ ships the America's Cup, off to Italy and their hosting deal. Do you think the New York Attorney General reads sailing news? Okay, so that's the latest. I don't know if any of you have comments, Greg, and who else have weighed in here? Lots of you weighed in. Ed Worley, Gordon Smith. Anybody else has a comment, shove it in now. I think they said make it commercially sustainable as opposed to a commercial. Well, okay, Gordon, don't pick fly you-know-what out of pepper with me. They may have said lots of different things, but you know clearly what they're intending to do. They've said so in so few words. Jim Sears. Hello, Jim. If I was a billionaire, I'd field a team if I could sail on the boat, like Koch, Turner, Ernesto, et cetera. I think a lot of us agree that one of the great beauties, one of the great things about the IACC and certainly the 12 meters, that was that a person of means or otherwise, the owner, the syndicate head, could in fact put a team together and sail if they wanted to. I mean, you go back to Commodore Mike Vanderbilt in the 30s.
Yes.
He put all those teams together. He was certainly rich, but he put all those J-boat teams together and then steered the boat. Ted Turner put a team together, steered the boat, lost, and then ultimately won and then lost. Dennis Conner put a team together with the help of Fritz and Lucy Jewett and Malin Burnham and a bunch of others, steered the boat, won in 80, lost in 83, and then went back and won it back in 87.
Right.
It was a great era, I think, for the Cup.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yes, absolutely. And the owner involvement speaks.
How does your mic keep getting so far away?
Because I'm sliding back.
Well, then move your mic closer. So you got that big, fancy, expensive arm that I bought. There you go. You got to keep it 1 fist distance away from your mouth. Thank you, Julia. Perfect. They will say anything if they think it can slither through this.
Who will?
That's what Clay Dambley. I think he's talking about Dalton in the ACP game. Anything else? Anybody want to say anything about this before we move on to Athena Racing and some video they've put out? Their boat GB1, I think this is AI. I don't think that's a real picture of their boat, although their boat is now sailing. That is their AC40, is in Colliery, and they are now training with an AC40. I still can't figure out, Julia, if they have an AC75. None of my other normally reliable sources can figure that out either. In fact, I've got some normally reliable sources saying they do not have access to their old equipment, their 2024 equipment. So I don't know what's going on. If any of you does know, please let us know. But this is Royal Yacht Squad, the Royal Yacht Squadron's Athena, their representative team, Athena Racing's GB1 is the name of their team now, because of course that's how they've decided since the gentleman from North Sails they've got involved, who owns North Sails and otherwise. And this is a video now. I believe that is it's an image, an AI image. And here is the video of them sailing, training now in Colliery, which is where that preliminary regatta is in a couple months' time.
Yeah, fantastic first day here in Colliery. Big thank you to the whole shore team for getting us out on the water in Athena today. Fantastic conditions, 12 to 15 knots, bit of seaway, nice sunshine. So yeah, great way to start the campaign off. Just real recommissioning today and a couple of hours just really putting it through its paces. So hopefully we can build on that throughout the whole week and start pushing harder and harder each day. Yeah, buzzing for the rest of the week. Weather looks good.
Looks really
bit of
little.
pizza and pasta.
What were you saying?
That boat looks
Tiny.
tiny. Yeah.
It is. It's the AC40, and that's one of the big problems with this Cup. At least when we were doing the preliminary regattas leading up to 07, when we were Challenger of Record and Ernesto and SNG were the defender, we were racing on old IACC boats until the very end when we were using new boats. But at least they were the real
big ones,
the real deal. The 80 footers, they were give or take 80 foot IACC boats. I don't know. Yeah, Peter Dubins. Thank you, Steve Gruber. Can Sir Ben get the design plans for the AC-75 from Sir Jim to build a new yacht? Well, if he can't get the yacht, and if they won't give him, that's just, there's no time, there's no money. This is if Sir Ben has got to get a design plan and build a new boat from scratch, even to an old plan, so that it meets the AC rules. Man, oh man, that's
is there another old one available?
Well, I don't know if it's available, but people thought he was going to buy the American Magic equipment, but apparently that's not for sale. I don't know. I really like the AC40 class. Gordon Smith has so much potential for para, youth, women's, open, and I'm in so many formats and in so many different formats. Not but in so many formats. Yeah, but for the pre-America's Cup racing, my point, Gordon, and I think Julia's point is that, these look like toys. They look like tinker toys.
Yeah.
When you know what they're really going to be racing. So if you're a spectator, if you're television, if you're media, you want to go see the real things, not some toy version. Yeah. Dolly DeVola, despite sailing the AC40 GBR, are trying to drum up interest, support, and hopefully investment. Fair point. No doubt. I mean, they're practicing for the preliminary regatta now with their GBM or their AC40. Let's talk about this Czech challenge. I've learned nothing new, but in this business, when I put one of these shows together, there is, as you know, Julia, there is a rule of thumb that I use. And when I run one of these things up the flagpole as I did on Friday's show, and go out on a limb, in effect, with a one hears. And of course, I don't do that unless I'm 95% sure that we're right. And when I get no pushback from anybody, nobody comes back and says, "Oh, you're full of shiza," or "That was completely off the
Where did you get that
track."
idea?
Exactly. And I've had no pushback. I've had only, "Oh, how did you find out?"
Oh.
How did you find out? That's interesting. And people like Richard Gladwell have written articles, say Sailing Illustrated found out that. So people are talking to these guys, and yes, KK, I'm calling it the KK Challenge, Julia. The KK Challenge.
Yes.
For Karl Komarek from the Czech Republic, who now lives in Verbier in Switzerland. And he is the money. He's worth $3, $4, $5 billion, or was. He's the Czech business. Go ahead.
It'd be great to have him involved.
Well, yeah, exactly. We need every billionaire we can get involved in the sport, right?
Yes.
It's good for us.
Yes.
As Ted Turner once said, he said income talking about governments and social programs. He said income redistribution programs, the best income redistribution program I know is the America's Cup. You take from the rich guys and give to the poor sailors, the poor sailmakers, the poor boat builder.
That's right.
The poor short team. He was right. That was a good point. So this is our friend KK. I don't know the gentleman, but he looks like, and the name of his company is KKCG, and he owns this big maxi. Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin knows him well from dealing with him, and we still can't find out what the V stands for. The name of the yacht is V, the letter V, and whether it stands for something, if it's the short for a daughter's name or a wife's name or who knows what.
Flying Velocity.
I don't know. It's the Mills design. It's a 100-footer. It was built in 2017 by Wally, and I can't remember the previous name. Somebody in the chat will remember what it was called. But the word is, Julia, that our longtime friend Kenny Reed, who's been the captain on that boat working for the gentleman for some years, is going to be the CEO of the syndicate, and no one tells me otherwise again.
That's great.
So Kenny Reed may be, and Ken's done the America's Cup. Remember he was Dennis's skipper in 2000 or 2003. I can't remember. So we shall see. Ted Ryman asking, as Ainsley and Dalton are such good buddies, perhaps he will give Ben the plans for. Well, again, Ted and anyone else, there's not much time. The Cup is in a year, and it takes 10 months.
Velocities, Alan Lunk
Well,
said.
he's question mark. I don't think he knows. None of us know.
No.
I couldn't figure that out, and I tried. I asked around and couldn't find anybody who knew what the V stood for. So if you do, let us know. But I've had, Julia, no pushback on this. Václav, as in the liberator of the Czech Republic. Someday I will tell my story about being in the president's home in Prague. That was very interesting. We were doing a Formula One promotion in Prague. And, well, that's another story for another time.
Okay.
Road to the GovCup. That was a really fun segment. And Julia, it's time now to do this day in history. Do you know what happened on this day in history, the 10th of March, 1849?
1849. Well,
And I could have gone, I think today is the 50th anniversary of the first telephone call. Alexander Graham Bell said over the phone to his assistant, Mr. Watson, come here, Mr. Watson, I want to show you something, or
Yeah, right.
whatever it was. And Mr. Watson heard that, and of course, the rest, as we know, is history.
1849 is California gold discovery.
It is. But do you want another clue?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's boating related. That, of course, is Abraham Lincoln, who was our, 16th president of the U.S.
Yeah.
Lived from, he didn't live from 61 to 65. But he was, where did I get those numbers? The graphics department mucked that one up. He, on this date in history, applied for a patent, a manner of buoying, as we would say, boing vessels. And this was, for going over shoals and other things. And these were some bladders, some air bladders on the side that you could pump up and help get the boat over a shallow spot. And it was on this date that Lincoln's patent relates to an invention to buoy and lift boats over shoals and obstructions in a river.
Good idea.
He conceived the invention when on 2 occasions the boat on which he used to work on the Mississippi, which he traveled, got hung up on obstructions. Lincoln's device was composed of large bellows attached to the sides of the boat that were then expandable due to air chambers. It was filed on this date, March 10th, 1849, and issued in May. A couple months later, his successful patent led to his drafting and delivering 2 lectures. Big deal. And here's a video, Julia.
And now, a page from our Sunday morning almanac. March 10th, 1849, 84 years ago today. The day a future president brought forth on this continent a new notion for improving river navigation. For that was the day Abraham Lincoln filed a patent application for his imaginative method of buoying vessels over shoals. At age 22, Lincoln had been a crewman on a flatboat that got stuck on a dam at New Salem, Illinois. A bit of Lincoln folklore depicted in the 1940 film Abe Lincoln in Illinois, with Raymond Massey in the starring role. After another riverboat grounding incident in 1848, when he was serving as a congressman, Lincoln got to work. As his law partner, William Herndon, later wrote, continual thinking on the subject of lifting vessels over sandbars and other obstructions in the water suggested to him the idea of inventing an apparatus for this purpose. And so, the next year came Lincoln's solution, a ship equipped with chambers along the side that could be lowered into the water and inflated like balloons to lift the vessel over the obstruction. Just 2 months after filing his application, Lincoln received approval, making him the only U.S. president ever to have received a patent. Sadly, however, even William Herndon thought that the whole contraption was impractical. And in the end, the only one ever built was Lincoln's scale model, which now sits in the Smithsonian.
Okay, so you get the idea, and that courtesy of your favorite show, Julia.
Yes.
CBS Sunday Morning. If I had a nickel for every time I heard from Julia, she'd text me and say, hey, turn on CBS Sunday Morning. There's this or that about this or that. You're really find interesting. You love that show, don't you?
I do. And
How's your mic so far away again?
Because I moved back again.
There you go. You love that show.
I do. I learned something every time from it.
Well, it's a great piece of work, and so was that apparently by the president. Forget about me, save the pigs. That could be our new calling card here on the show.
Yeah.
Clayton Embley, who is in this business, maybe not of doing flatboats over shoals in the Mississippi, but in Kentucky, that same principle was used to make permanent blisters on the USS Kitty Hawk. That's the big aircraft carrier, right? To make sure they could operate in Yokosuka, Japan, due to the shallow waters, and that Japan did not want nuclear-powered ships in their waters. I used the same principle on a tour boat in D.C.
Aha.
Interesting. Should Zodiac and other rigid inflatable boats be paying royalties? I don't know. Okay, so that's what happened on this day in history. Lincoln applied for and then later received his patent in and around the couple of years before the first America's Cup, Julia, AC 0, which of course was in 1851. The last leg, we got to talk about what's gone on in the JJ because it's been a very cool event. They've had 3 race days. Today is their race day 4. It's Wednesday down there. Monday was a lay day, and then it was light today, Tuesday. And these spectacular pictures, thank you, Dolly DeVola, for he sent me a link to some high-res pictures because the stuff I was getting out of other sources was not correct. But the JJ Giltinan, the 18-foot skiff world championship, light wind upsets the schedule on today, Tuesday. They raced Saturday was their first official. They had the practice race Friday, and then their first race was Saturday, second race Sunday, and then 2 races were scheduled today, Tuesday. And Monday was a lay day, but the light wind did not let that happen. There was the near photo finish between Smeg and the Kitchen Maker in that race today, Tuesday. Just a single 2-lap windward leeward. Race 3 was completed on Sydney Harbor with a win for Smeg and Ash Rucklin, Josh Porobsky, and Niall Morrow. Second was the Kitchen Maker of Lachlan Steele, George Morton, and Jerome Watts, with third ASCC of Campbell Stanton, Ollie Gilmore, and Pat Morgan. John Winning Jr. on Yandu finished 7th and continues to lead overall with 9 points. Second, our Shaw and Partners Financial Service, that's the Australian boat of that name. There's also a Kiwi boat, which had a good race a couple days ago and finished on the podium. But they are on second with 11 points. That is Shaw and Partners, Australia. And the Rag and Famish Hotel, Ben Crawford's boat, is third on 18 points. Another beautiful, cool picture of this amazing class.
Yes.
Courtesy of Dolly. Thanks, Dolly DeVola. And there are the overall results so far after 3 races. And here is I'm not going to play the whole video, Julia, but here is a highlights video. It's about 9 minutes long of the racing. And I thought you would all enjoy this very much because it's on-board video mostly. What fabulous boats.
They're really fun to watch.
Get in the boat. Go below. Alright, boys, do your turn. That was rubbish, mate. Protest. We'll protest that. Well. Oh, there's 2 places if they and lads get in front of us. I do not care about being. That was a dick move. All right, boys, let's have some fun with it today. Woo, boat feels good. It's not like dogs off chains, it's just windy. Oh well, got that out of our system. So obviously we're going to race hard, but let's remind ourselves before each big manoeuvre. Just Bob Marley, keep the rig in the air. All right, at this point we're triggering at 15. 1, we're racing. Good start, great start. Bang to 18.
Jib on, jib on, jib on. Out, out. Wade in, wade in, wade in. Jib out. Ah. Go, get on the board. Big hands, big hands. Big hands, mate, come on. Okay, coming up to windward now. Gear on a little, that's it, shuffling forward. And then okay, get me some of these, mate. I can't bear it. So you're going to be in the boat. Okay, here we go. Go, Tom, get in. Go, go, go. Drop it, drop it. Ease the stick, get me in. Let's go, weight back, come on. Thank you. Okay, go. Fill the boat, go. Ease the gear. Oh! Oh! Rounding up. Go, gear on. You have to work harder, mate. Bigger hands. What I've been telling you all year. Now's the day. Ah! Ah! No. That's main on. Forget about the mark, just sail the boat. It's hard to see in this breeze and with the rain, so let's just keep working at it. Let's shuffle forward in this lighter shit. You're right. 3, 2, 1. Super shitty. Hey! Big stuff on. No, it's not. It's just windy, like 20 knots. Ready to go for a jibe? Yep. Yep, jibing in 2. 1 nice and slow entry. Yep. Go, Timmy. Oh, boys, it's going to be a good day. Woohoo! Nice, guys. Well done. Bit of 2 on, please, Timmy. Ready, ease, 3, 2, 1, go away. All right, go for it, guys. And full swings, guys. Full swings, guys. Ease. One side hotter. Big low there. And pressure on. Just keep the car flogging, Timmy. Just got to get around this headland.
I mean, how cool is this video?
I know.
And the 18-footer has their own YouTube channel. I think it's called 18-footer TV. Just Google it. Comes right up. Fritz Mueller saying, great video. These boats are tough to sail. Indeed they are.
Oh, yes.
Thank the orange moron. Yeah, they don't have any fuel, he said. They're a little short on fuel in Australia. Maybe that's because of what's going on around, but I think that is a temporary situation. Great stuff. Sail Media, the television.
Stop it! Ready to tack again?
A spectator boat or a port tacker.
Let's go above him. Going above him, going hot.
Great stuff. Okay, and they're doing the live television coverage again. Not to pat ourselves on the back of GovCup TV, but these guys are every bit as good at GovCup TV, arguably better, and they've got a great production.
Yes.
And that's our friends Pat Langley, James Burry, and our new Fozy, who was on the show a few weeks ago, Peter Shipway, representing Sail Media, and of course, our super Fozy, Andrew Dolly DeVola. And we appreciate everything they're doing on the water and off, including sending me, Dolly, these photos. I mean, high-res, superb photos of this racing, which continues today, actually down there now, Wednesday and Thursday. Friday's a lay day, and then they're back at it Saturday. And for the final race, 9, on Sunday for the 18-footer World Championships, the J.J. Giltinan. Julia,
is that going to be on YouTube, do you know?
Yes, they're live on YouTube.
Great.
Their racing is live. No shortage of chatter. Young man's class, Fishback says. Yep, Tom, I think that's right. Fritz Mueller is taking off. Nice to have you on, Fritz. Ted Ryman, great video. I felt I was part of the crew, exactly. And Ted's comment up above a little further about he's laughing about Smeg, the name of one of the yachts. And I'm not going to go into it here, Julia, but all I can say is that I tell everybody, Ted and everybody else who were laughing about that name, and I'm not going to explain it, but I did have to, after the show, explain it to you.
Yes.
And to Claire Harrington.
If I got to be in any company.
What is that all about? Why is that funny? What was that? Oh, God. So I did. You know.
That's a good company to be in any day.
Commodore Harrington, who's down at the St. Bart's Bucket. She's having a great time down there sailing as the safety officer on a huge boat.
Yay.
With 50 crew.
Oh, my.
Oh, that's really amazing.
That's great.
Julia, the D Block, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Dad, he's hitting me. Dad, tell her to stay on her own side. Ouch, stop it, as they go through the, I guess, McDonald's drive-through. 3 junior meals and a vasectomy, please. You know what? That is all too true. There were 5 of us. And I, of course, was a saint. I was a choir boy. I was always refereeing between my brothers and sisters, but my 2 brothers and 2 sisters used to go at it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They used to go. There was a little bit of separation between me and the other 4, but the other 4 were bang, 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 bang. And they used to do that kind of stuff in this cartoon and beyond. And I finally threw my hands up in the air and said, Mom, you can handle this.
Thanks, son.
Julia, if your wife is mad at you, buy another sailboat. She'll still be mad, but you'll have a new sailboat. That came from Greg Phillips.
Speaks from experience.
As did the first one. Now for equal time, Julia.
Yes.
Equal time. I told you, F the flowers. This must have been a Valentine's Day meme. I wanted a new sailboat. And you could write just about anything in there at the bottom, I think, that you wanted to.
Yes.
Who sent that? Ryman. It's the cleanest one he sent me in a long time, so I used it.
He's got a lovely supply.
He does. He's great. Then, since this is the drinking show with a sailing habit, when you're at a party and nobody wants to talk about sailing,
have a drink.
Peter Stevenson sent that one, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. And, of course, we always end with Blake Middleton's All the Smartest People Sail. Blake, thanks for that. My dad chimes in with sailing isn't for everybody, but it is for anybody, from my beloved father, Tom Eamon Sr., Julia, which gets us to the finish line where you like to say,
yes, please take this opportunity to like and follow and share.
Indeed. Comments are welcome, even in replay. We always leave them open because people are so well behaved, and we sincerely appreciate all of you who contribute via Patreon a few bucks to keep us and keep our studio and this equipment and our streaming fees, and, you know, being able to do a Zoom with two guests as seamlessly as that went today. I won't bore you with the technical side of that, but that, and being able to switch between the two shot, the single, and yada, yada. But that's because of all of you who do support us via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. A few bucks a month goes a long way to keeping us on the air. Thank you very much indeed for your support. Also, thanks to those who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show. And there are a lot of folks, as usual. And as always, we appreciate very much your letting us use your material. Julia, we did 2 hours and 6 minutes and 25 seconds today. Final thoughts?
There are a lot of good comments that have been added, and I would encourage people to watch.
Good point. You always go back just to be sure there's no croutonicism.
Yes, sometimes
no coarse language, no name calling, no personal attacks.
Every once in a while I miss one.
But if you do, it's zero tolerance, right? You knock them right out of the box.
That goes off.
They're blocked for life.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you on Friday, same time, same channel. Have a great rest of your week. And in the meantime, go sailing. Sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.